50 years from now, you're going to look down at your hand, see it wrinkled and covered in age spots. You're going to hear your own rattled breathing, and you're going to know this is the end. You're about to die. You're going to hear your family in the distance talking about you and crying over you. But they're not just going to be crying over losing you. They're going to be crying because they don't know how to pay for your funeral. They're going to have to take out a personal loan. But you could have prevented that. You could have prevented that stress from ever affecting them if you had done a life insurance policy. I want to convince you today that life insurance is not something you should consider when you're older, but something you should consider now. It needs to be an integral decision that we all make at an early age. We are all going to die. You can't stop it. You will die. I will die. Everyone will. And it's not something I need to cite. It's in fact a fact of life. I want to talk to you about life insurance purchase statistics for Americans. And then I'd like to talk to you about benefits of life insurance. And finally, I'd like to speak to you about different types and how to use them. I want to first point out some statistics about Americans purchasing life insurance. And I found these statistics at Life Insurance Statistics, Industry Fact Figures and Data at bestliferates.org. 80% of all American consumers talk about life insurance and say that it's an integral part of something they should consider. But out of the 80%, only 54% as of 2020 actually make a purchase. And what are they considering more important? 24% consider retirement as more important. 11% consider long-term care, such as nursing homes, and 10% consider investment loss as more important financial planning than life insurance. Life insurance reasons are at the very bottom of the list, with funeral costs, final expenses, as well as inheritances being the last things people think about. Now that we know some of the statistics, allow me to illustrate the primary reasons to use life insurance. Funeral costs in 2024 are an average of $11,000. That's for burial. For cremation, it's an average of $3,016. And what's really crazy is that in 60 years, that $3,016 is expected to exceed $9,000. Think about it. Families now are getting personal loans just for that $3,000. How many more personal loans are going to need to be got for exceeding $9,000? When you die, your family will lose the income you bring to the table. And in some cases, that might be a big deal. In other cases, it might not. It really just depends on your family. It's suggested that we take out 5 to 10 times our annual income to help our families go for several years without the income they're used to having from us. According to multiple websites, their opinion is that life insurance is financial planning. The numbers I've given you today can be found at Funeral Cost Breakdown 2024, How to Save, the No BS Guide. Inheritance money sets up generations after you. The parents of our generation's baby boomers, they didn't really think about their financial planning. They didn't buy houses. They didn't take out life insurance policies. In fact, over a quarter of baby boomers were asked, have you ever considered life insurance or financial planning? And they all said the same thing. Hardly at all. I found that to be comical. And that was information found from a summary of a working paper 12585 featured in Print Bulletin on Aging and Health. I've laid out some numbers for you to think about, and I want you to now consider what life insurance can actually do for you and some of the different policies. Life insurance isn't just one type of thing. It can be curtailed to fit each individual's needs. For example, if you buy a house and you have a 30-year mortgage, you could get a 30-year term policy so that in the event that you pass away during that 30 years, the house becomes paid off for your family. They don't have to worry about it anymore. And all life insurance is tax-free. You can also consider that you have a lot of assets and you want all your assets to go to your family. Say you have $1 million worth of assets and they sell it and get $1 million, but then the government has a death tax, which taxes 30% of your liquidated assets. So then your family loses 30% of that $1 million. You could have a life insurance policy that replaces that 30% that the government takes tax-free to your family. Maybe you don't care about anybody and you don't care what happens to you when you die, but you don't want anybody else to actually have to pay for it because you do everything yourself. Well, then you could look at a final expense policy that would cover just the funeral costs. That's the most commonly what people over 50 are looking at. Term policies are great. They're the most common. They're the least expensive. It's basically throwing money away, honestly, unless you have something specific to protect. This is Life Insurance Pros and Cons, copyright 2024, TZ Insurance Solutions, LLC. Whole life has many different options for many reasons. Whole life means it lasts for your whole life. One of my favorite whole life policies is a limited pay life, and what it is, and I really think it's the policy that we as young people should consider, is we pay on it for 10 years or 20 years, but we keep the policy forever. So after that 10th year or that 20th year, you never pay on it again, and it lasts for all time. I'm actually looking at getting one for myself right now. It makes the most sense. I'll pay on it for 20 years at $48 a month, and then when I die, 60 years from now, I won't have paid on it for 40 years. Had to do some quick math in my head there. And my daughter will still get a minimum of $25,000. She could get more based on the market though. The best kind of life insurance policy really though is the one that's in place the day that you die. And that's a quote by Neil Wandell of the Johnson City State Farm in Boones Creek. He said it in 2023. Now that you have a better understanding of what life insurance is and what it can do for you, you have a decision to make. I said I wanted to convince you that life insurance is an integral part of life choices that we should make now rather than later. And honestly, I'm not trying to convince you to buy life insurance. I'm trying to save you from not buying life insurance. We went over life insurance numbers, benefits of life insurance, and different types that you could possibly look at to benefit you. This is not something we should put on the back burners of our lives. It's something that we must think about either now or later. If we take the opportunity to think about it now, I strongly believe that we're helping set up future generations with financial wealth, with just bettering the world. In the end, we take our last rattled breath. What really matters is we have to leave a legacy for the next generation. Money should not be the forefront of the effort, but it sure does help. Thank you.